Hi Chefeteers, I'm Chef Nakia and I want you to be more confident in the kitchen, whether you have a cat with you or not. I want you to be more confident in the kitchen and feel like you have the time and energy to cook at home more often. If you are somebody who wants to be able to cook at home more, but you feel like your schedule is just so busy that it almost feels impossible, this video is for you. I am going to share some of my favorite tips and tricks for how you can make cooking at home fit into your schedule, whatever that schedule may be. Whether you are extremely busy because you are a parent or a caregiver, you spend a lot of your time caring for others' needs, or you have a very demanding career and by the time you get home after work you just feel depleted. Maybe you are in school and you have a job and trying to balance it all is just difficult. Or maybe you travel a lot for work and by the time you get home you're exhausted, but you also eat out way too often and you just really want a delicious home-cooked meal. Or maybe you're an entrepreneur and sometimes your business feels like your entire life, and prioritizing cooking at home can sometimes feel difficult. Whatever your situation is, I'm going to share some tips and tricks for how to make cooking at home fit into your schedule. And with that, some of these tips and tricks may resonate with different people. So keep an open mind to all of these, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want even more information about meal planning, meal prepping, and cooking at home. So the very first thing is that you are going to need to have a plan. The time you spend planning will save you so much more time during execution. It will save you time and it will also save you some of that mental energy. Whenever you do it up front and you think through what your meal plan is going to be, then whenever you execute, you won't have to spend as much mental energy on executing the plan as opposed to just not having a plan at all and figuring it out as you go. And with people with really busy schedules, I recommend that you put a limit on how much time you spend planning. And this might feel a little counterintuitive, but there is a point where you can spend too much time trying to plan something. And if you only give yourself 30 minutes to plan, you're gonna use those 30 minutes a lot more efficiently. Whereas if you don't set a timer for yourself, or you just say, oh, I'll plan and I'll put it together, you might end up spending an hour and a half scrolling on Pinterest, looking for recipes, and not really actually getting your meal plan done, whereas you might have been able to get it done in 20-30 minutes if you only allotted yourself that amount of time. Now, I do recommend the 20 to 30 minute per week. If your big goal is just to cook one dinner a week, if that at home, if that feels like a goal to get to, then you can probably spend 10 minutes. But if you are trying to cook at home as many nights as possible, that's when I think that 20 to 30 minutes is a pretty appropriate amount of time. Another little trick with this is if you have a recurring time during your week or month that you are just kind of waiting for something to happen. So maybe if you are traveling a lot, maybe that could be on an airplane. If you shuttle your littles around to extracurriculars and sports practices and all kinds of those things, maybe you're waiting to pick them up from practice, maybe you even stay there during practice. So you can find some time there to meal plan. And what's nice about that is your beginning and end is dependent on another activity. So it will be truly impossible for you to sit there and scroll on Pinterest for an hour and a half whenever your kids are saying, hey, we gotta get home, practice is over. So if you have space and time already in your weekly schedule where you can place that meal planning and have it just fill 20 to 30 minutes, then do that. If you don't really have any defined space, you might be looking for something like a meal planning club. My idea behind Meal Planning Club was to give people a 30-minute window to be able to say, okay, I am going to show up, I'm going to hold myself accountable to get this meal plan done, and then go on my way. I'm also extremely passionate about reducing our at-home food waste, so in these meal planning clubs, I always work with people to see what do you already have in the fridge, freezer, or pantry that you can use up. And then as you are purchasing more groceries and cooking your meals, what leftover ingredients will you have, and how can we utilize all of that so that at the end of the week you aren't creating more work for yourself by going through and saying like, oh, now I have to inventory what all is left over and think of new meals. I'm super passionate about helping you get in front of that and plan that from the beginning. So if you are interested in joining our meal planning club, there'll be a link below to the waitlist. And when you sign up for the waitlist, then you can send a little message of the dates and times that work best for your schedule. And then I will place you kind of with like cohorts for the best meal planning clubs. These meal planning clubs are really for you to be able to leave with a meal plan for the week that is going to work with your life, that is very realistic as to, okay, when do I have time to cook and when do I need to look at convenient meals? Gives you ideas of new things to cook and maybe new places to look for some convenient meal options. It doesn't always have to be a fast food drive-through. And whatever unique culinary planning needs you have, I want to have time to address those with you. So I like to organize these cohorts to fit in your schedule and make sure that we don't have too many people in there, so I can really give you great personalized guidance so that that 30-minute meal plan is gonna save you hours throughout your week. All right, now that you have your meal plan done and you have planned out what you're going to cook, what nights you aren't going to cook, how you're going to eat up leftovers, then you can start implementing a few of these simple strategies to make the actual like meal prepping time be more effective. And when I say meal prep here, I don't just mean like chopping up veggies and putting them in food storage containers and putting them in the freezer. I mean like the full meal preparation, like food preparation as a whole. So the first strategy will be about meal prep specifically. It is that if you have a day where you can dedicate even just 1 hour to meal prepping, do it. Because once you get started with that habit, it's going to grow and grow, and you're going to find even more ways to be efficient with your food prep routines. If you can spare even 30 minutes, an hour to prep some food, then do that. And some of the really easy things to do during this time are like washing and slicing and dicing and peeling your fruits and vegetables for the meals that you will be cooking later. Another thing that you can do is if you have dry beans, then you can start soaking those dry beans, or purchase canned. That's fine. Oh, and especially if you have like multiple people in the house who take a lunch with them on their days, you can meal prep a bunch of those lunches, and then whenever you think about it, you're like, lunch is taken care of. I just need to focus on dinners for the rest of the week. Similarly to that, breakfast could be something that you want to prep ahead of time, especially if you like doing meals like overnight oats. Of course, you could also say, hey, we're doing cereal every morning this week. Pick out your favorite cereals, and then that's, of course, very easy too. Now, when you go to actually choose the recipes that you are going to cook at home for your dinners, lean in to the one pot meals or one pan, like one sheet pan style meals. A lot of times those are very quick to prep and get in the oven or on the stove. And a lot of times if you do put it in the oven, then you can actually clean up most of your kitchen while it's baking. Or you could prep a future dinner while While dinner for tonight is on that one sheet pan in the oven, you could prep items for another dinner that you're gonna make tomorrow. So really embrace those, kind of throw it all together, cook it, and then bring it out and enjoy it style meals. Those are also good meals that you could prepare a large side dish on one day and then use that side dish to supplement that one pan meal. So one example of that could be making a large pot of jasmine rice, and then you serve that with a one sheet pan dish like chicken breast tenderloins with some potatoes, broccoli, and other seasonal veggies. And then the leftover rice you can use as a side dish later in the week. Also, making a very large salad that you can then use as a side salad to supplement your meals is another great example of this, prepping a side once and using it multiple times throughout your week. Another strategy is embracing crockpot meals. You know those meals where you just throw the stuff in a slow cooker and turn it on, and whether you leave the house for the day or you just are focusing on other things throughout the day, and then when you get home, when you get into the kitchen and you're ready to eat, that meal is going to be ready for you. It is a pretty safe way to cook also. I would always recommend that you double check your cable, the electrical cord from the outlet to your crock pot itself, to make sure nothing is frayed and all of the protective part is in tip-top shape. But crock pots are pretty safe to leave on to allow your food to cook, whereas I would never do that with an oven. If you turn the oven on, stay home until it's time to turn it off, please. But crockpot recipes can be anything from cooking a meat like a pulled pork or lamb to soups, or you could even make that side dish that you want to cook and eat on a few times throughout the week. You could make that in a crockpot too. And as I've mentioned a little bit already, I think that reducing our at-home food waste is super important, and so I'm going to bring up again that utilizing your leftovers can be such a great way to help save you time. And of course, this can be like cooking a meal on Monday and cooking double what you're going to eat, so then you have dinner, the same exact dinner on Tuesday. But you can also just reuse portions of the meal. For example, you could cook an entire pork shoulder and make some delicious pulled pork, and then you could use that again in carnitas-ish style tacos. And I do have an entire video on this pork shoulder example and all the different meals that you can make, so go check that one out if you really want to dive into this. But as a concept, you don't have to reheat the entire meal just as is. Maybe you're someone who kind of gets bored with that. Don't throw eating leftovers completely out of the window. Think about, are there certain components of this meal that I can pair with different items and create what feels like a whole new meal out of it without having to do every single step of the food prep. And of course, do not be shy about allowing the grocery store to help you out some. There are a lot of pre-sliced and diced veggies and fruits, things like that. You can always opt to purchase those partially prepared items to save you the time of, dicing up onion or cutting down an entire pineapple. You can also consider purchasing rotisserie chickens and things like that, where the store has already prepared them for you. A lot of times in the deli areas, they also have deli salads and soups, things like that you could purchase from them and use as side dishes. Or maybe that can be your whole meal. Maybe you get a rotisserie chicken and you get a delicious looking deli salad, and you can put the chicken on top of the salad and it fills you up for the night. Another way the store can help you is with prepared sauces. And this can be, your pasta sauces and your pestos, but also dips and enchilada sauces. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So if you do have a chance, some extra time, and you're in the grocery store, I urge you to look at a shelf or a couple shelves as if you've never looked at them before and see what you've been missing that might be able to help your meals come together more quickly. And maybe the most important one, but also the one I don't think is really talked about often enough, delegate. And I'm really going to change it to delegate and celebrate. Because while we can plan and we can try to use these time-saving strategies to shave away at our schedule and carve out some time to cook, sometimes delegating whole tasks to other people can really be the thing that makes a difference in our schedules. So if you are somebody who has a partner at home, maybe you could ask them to help with a few of these meal prep ideas. Maybe they come up with a meal plan for the week, or maybe the two of you trade off weeks where one week one of you meal plans and the next week the following person meal plans. Even if you have littles, depending on how old they are and their fine motor skills, they can start helping you in the kitchen too. And I know this is a delicate balance because sometimes it can feel like inviting young ones into the kitchen makes it a bigger project and you spend a little bit more time maybe explaining or keeping an eye on things. But once they learn some skills, then they'll be able to repeat it and they're probably gonna have so much fun helping you. The more opportunities they have to get hands-on and start to help, the more comfortable and the quicker they'll get with things. You can also think about delegating outside of your household to an extent. Maybe you have some neighbors that you're really close with and you all can talk about, okay, let's trade off days cooking dinner, so we'll commit to cooking dinner for both of our families. We'll do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can take Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. And so you cook whatever you're gonna cook, just double the amount and you share it with your neighbors. And then you know that on your off days, you have a home-cooked meal, maybe not your own home-cooked meal, but at least a home-cooked meal from the family next door. And maybe that's even too much, so maybe you just trade like one day a week or something like that. But just get creative. Who else in your life can you create this bartering type system with? Not only will it be a bonding, a way to deepen your relationship, but it can be really fun to see what do they like to cook? What are some of their favorite meals? You might even get to try some foods and flavors that you never would have expected. And finally, with delegating, you could delegate to a professional. And I get it. Hiring a personal chef for 5 days a week is not necessarily in everybody's budget. There are, of course, companies out there who will help you do meal prep, and I've seen a lot of local ones too. So whoever you may choose to go with, I would encourage you to look at what kind of local options are around you to support small business near you. Maybe a couple times a month you could have a meal prep company deliver a package of their offerings, whatever that may be. And I would be remiss to not include grocery delivery. And for those of you who don't know, I do grocery delivery in the South Denver area in Colorado. So if by some miracle you are in Colorado, specifically like Denver area, and you want me to do your grocery shopping for you, hey, nice to meet you. There's a link below where you can check out the meals on my website. But even if you aren't in the Denver area, you could look into grocery delivery options. I will be honest, I don't know how many other places have chefs going to a grocery store shopping for you. I also do have a digital cookbook of all of my meals, and so my clients shop per meal. And then I will also grab them whatever other, cereal or ice cream or flour for baking projects, along with the ingredients for those meals that they've chosen. So something equivalent of my service might not be in your area, but if it is, it really saves a lot of time with meal planning and grocery delivery. And then when I deliver the ingredients, I have the recipes in there and they're all super simple and easy to follow recipes. So, if you're in the Denver area, maybe. And if you aren't, but you do want help with meal planning, I can still help you. I do virtual personal chefing services also. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to get in contact with me, check out the links below and subscribe. And if you want to hear more meal prep, meal planning, cooking at home tips, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I will put on new videos every other Wednesday. And I'm also posting a good amount of shorts for really quick bite-sized little cooking tips. So be sure to subscribe if you like what I'm talking about. And if you are somebody who really wants to cook at home more often and you have a partner who you want to get on the same page with, maybe send them this video. Hey, I want to cook at home more often. Let's figure out a way to implement some of this, and send them the video. And then I can talk at them about all of these things. That saves you time too. And I believe it really all comes down to celebrating the moments that we have in which our hearts light up. Cooking at home can be an opportunity to be really creative, to express an artistic side, to show love for your partner and your family or your friends or your neighbors. Cooking can be so many different things, and when we want to do it more often and we find ways to fit cooking at home into our busy lives, we can celebrate. And like I said at the beginning, even if that's only 1 or 2 meals a week, I think celebrate that. That's still really awesome. As we go through life, we're gonna have ebbs and flows of when we are busier and less busy. And so by building some habits now when we feel like we're just so busy, how can we be this busy? But whenever we build the habits now that allow us to do more of what we love, like cooking at home, then as our lives become less busy, we'll find that we get to embrace cooking at home or doing other things that we're very passionate about. And it'll just help us live our lives the way we want. If you want to cook at home more, I want to help you be able to cook at home more. So follow along. Thank you so much for watching.